In the dark silence of deep space, the stars shimmered like cold eyes watching everything unfold. Far beyond the borders of human space, an enormous alien fleet drifted in perfect formation. Hundreds of ships, sleek and black, floated like a swarm of metal beasts waiting for orders. On the command bridge of the flagship, Admiral Serthax stood before a massive holographic screen showing a strange object moving slowly across the void. It was small, no bigger than a destroyer, yet it gave off faint energy signals unlike anything the aliens had ever seen. "What is that thing?" Serthax asked, his voice sharp and cold. His officers exchanged uncertain glances. The scanners were already focused, but the readings made no sense. "It appears to be a vessel," replied one of the technicians. "Unknown design. The surface material is shifting. It's not reflecting our scan patterns correctly." "Run a deep scan," the Admiral ordered. "Find out what this thing is before it gets any closer." The deep scan began. Invisible waves of alien energy swept across the small ship, bouncing back with distorted, broken data. The lights flickered across the alien bridge. One by one, the displays began to glitch. Numbers danced across the screen faster than anyone could read. "What's happening?" Serthax demanded. The technician's fingers moved rapidly over his console. "Our systems are malfunctioning, sir. The scan is feeding back signals we can't process." Then the ship's AI spoke, its voice deep and metallic. "Warning. Unknown power signature detected. Scanning interference, source unknown." The alien crew stared at each other in confusion. Nothing had ever caused their systems to react like this before. The Admiral clenched his jaw. "Shut down the scan," he ordered. "Now." But before the command could be executed, the holographic screen changed. The image of the small object zoomed in, revealing smooth metallic armor that seemed to shift and ripple like liquid. Symbols, strange and human, glowed faintly across its hull. Then the ship's scanners picked up something inside the vessel. A heartbeat. 1, 2, 3. Rhythmic and steady. The Admiral's eyes widened. "Life signs." "Yes, sir," the technician said softly. "But only a few. Very few. And they're human." The alien bridge went silent. Humans? Here. That was impossible. No human ship had ever crossed into alien-controlled space. Their technology was too primitive, too weak. And yet, here one was, calmly drifting, letting itself be scanned. Admiral Serthax's claws tapped against the console. Something about it felt wrong. "Increase magnification," he said. "Let me see its markings." The image grew larger. Across the hull, the alien crew could read the letters, UNS Valkyrie. The Admiral frowned. "Valkyrie," he murmured. "That's a name from their mythology, the bringers of death." Before anyone could respond, the alien fleet sensors suddenly spiked. A burst of unknown radiation slammed through their systems. Consoles sparked. Lights dimmed. Alarms screamed. "The scan has triggered a response," shouted the technician. "They're scanning us back." "Impossible," the Admiral barked. But it wasn't. On the screen, the human warship glowed faintly with a blue aura. Its engines were silent, but a deep vibration hummed through the alien ship's sensors, as if something ancient had awakened. Data flooded in faster than the computers could handle. "Their energy readings are off the charts," someone yelled. "It's like they have a star trapped inside that ship." Panels burst across the bridge as systems overloaded. The Admiral gritted his teeth, gripping the railing as sparks showered around him. "End the connection. End it now," he shouted. The technician slammed his hand against the controls. "I can't. It's feeding off our own scan signal." Then, suddenly, everything stopped. The alarms went silent. The flickering lights steadied. The holographic image vanished. For a moment, it felt like the entire ship had frozen in time. The Admiral looked around the silent bridge. "Report," he said quietly. "Where is it?" The answer came in a trembling voice. "Gone, sir. The human ship. It's gone." Serthak narrowed his eyes. "You mean it cloaked?" "No, Admiral. I mean, it vanished. There's nothing. No signal, no trace, no energy trail. It's like it was never there." The Admiral felt a cold chill crawl down his spine. The entire fleet hung in silence. For the first time in his long military career, he felt something unfamiliar, fear. Then a low, static-filled whisper came through the comms channel. It wasn't from their fleet. It wasn't from any known source. It was a human voice, calm and quiet. "Don't scan us again." Every alien froze. The bridge fell silent again, the voice echoing in their minds. Serthak stared at the dark space beyond the screen. The ship had vanished, but the feeling remained, an invisible presence, watching them, waiting. He turned to his officers, his expression grim. "Record everything," he said. "Every detail. I want this sent to the Galactic Council." "Yes, Admiral," the officer replied. "But what should we call the object in our report?" Serthak looked at the empty space where the strange vessel had been. After a long pause, he said softly, "Call it what it is, a warning." The stars outside flickered once more as the fleet drifted in uneasy silence. Somewhere in the void, unseen and unheard, the Valkyrie watched them. Far from the alien fleet, deep within the cold silence of space, the human warship UNS Valkyrie moved like a shadow. Its sleek black hull reflected no light, and its engines made no sound. To any scanner, it appeared invisible, an empty void drifting through nothingness. But inside, the ship was alive. Systems hummed softly, glowing lines of energy pulsed across the walls, and in the command center, Captain Elena Drake stood before a large digital display showing the vast emptiness of the sector. Her expression was calm, but her eyes were sharp, focused, calculating. She was a soldier forged in countless battles, yet what lingered in her voice was not pride, it was purpose. "Report," she said, her tone steady. Her crew moved efficiently around her, every officer in sync, trained for silence and precision. "Captain," said Lieutenant Cross, the sensor officer, "we detected multiple energy waves a few minutes ago. Someone tried to scan us. Not a normal scan, deep, military grade." Captain Drake didn't blink. "Origin?" Cross looked nervous. "Alien signature. Unknown species, possibly from the Dravik Empire." Drake's gaze turned toward the vast holographic map. Dozens of red dots glowed faintly at the edge of human territory. "So," she said softly, "they finally noticed us." In the center of the bridge, the ship's AI core flickered to life. A calm, feminine voice spoke. "Captain, external sensors confirm foreign surveillance patterns. Estimated fleet strength, 162 warships. Shall I engage countermeasures?" Drake folded her arms. "No. Aura. Let them look. Let them believe they understand what they're seeing." The AI paused for a moment. "You do realize, Captain, that their scanners are not capable of interpreting Valkyrie's internal systems?" Drake smiled faintly. "Exactly." Aura's glowing blue symbol pulsed lightly. "They will not like what they see." "That's the point," Drake replied quietly. The Valkyrie continued moving, its course steady toward the dark edge of a dying star. Every surface on the ship seemed alive with power, but it was a calm, sleeping kind of energy, like the breath of a beast waiting to wake. Deep within the core, behind reinforced titanium doors, a faint red light pulsed rhythmically. That was the ship's heart, the quantum singularity reactor, the most dangerous human invention ever created. It didn't just power the ship, it made it something else entirely. Something alive. Dr. Mason, the lead engineer, entered the bridge. His white uniform was marked with grease and burn lines. "Captain, the reactor is stable," he said. "Energy output is normal. But I've detected external interference again. Someone's trying to probe us deeper." Drake turned toward him. "And The scan was strong. But something strange happened, it bounced back. The alien signal overloaded their own systems. I think we just scared them. For a second, a grin appeared on her face. Good. Maybe they'll learn to leave us alone. Aura's voice interrupted. Captain, I recommend activating stealth mode. Their fleet is adjusting formation. They appear confused, or frightened. Drake looked out into the dark. No need to hide yet. They started this. Her voice was calm, but the crew could feel the tension. Every person on board knew what the Valkyrie truly was. It wasn't just a warship. It was humanity's final warning, a test weapon created by the United Earth Defense Initiative, powered by forbidden technology. The reactor inside it could bend gravity, distort light, and even affect time itself. Only one ship had ever been built, and even Earth had lost contact with its creators. Now, Captain Drake commanded the most powerful and most secret machine humanity had ever made. Aura, she said, open private channel. The AI's voice softened. Ready, Captain. Drake clasped her hands behind her back. Send this to Earth Command. Message begins. Contact confirmed with unidentified alien fleet. They initiated deep scan. Results unknown on their end. We're maintaining silence and observing. End message. Message sent, Aura confirmed. Drake nodded and exhaled slowly. Her second officer, Lieutenant Hayes, approached. Captain, why not engage communication? We could tell them to back off. Because, Drake said coldly, words won't stop them. They don't fear words. They fear power. The crew fell silent again. Only the low hum of the ship's systems filled the air. The darkness outside seemed endless, yet Drake stared into it as if she could see through the stars themselves. They think we're primitive, she said after a while. Every species in this galaxy does. They think humanity is young, weak, chaotic. But they have no idea what we've become. Her voice was steady, but her eyes burned with quiet anger. They don't know what the Valkyrie carries inside. And they don't need to, unless they force us to show them. Aura's glowing icon brightened again. Captain, enemy signal has vanished. Their entire fleet just stopped scanning. Do you wish to pursue? Drake's lips curled into a faint, knowing smile. No. Let them run. Let them think we disappeared. Fear is a better weapon than fire. Dr. Mason frowned. But, Captain, if they analyze the data from that scan, they might come back. Stronger. Drake looked at him calmly. If they come back, they'll understand the truth too late. For a brief moment, silence returned to the bridge. Then Aura spoke again, her voice almost whispering. They called us monsters once, during the First Galactic War. Do you think they still will? Drake looked up at the digital stars. No, she said softly. This time, they'll call us gods. Outside, the Valkyrie drifted silently through the black, leaving behind only the faint shimmer of distorted starlight. No trails, no signals, no evidence of its presence. But somewhere far behind, the alien fleet floated in chaos, terrified, confused, and uncertain about what they had just seen. The scan they had performed had shown them something they couldn't explain. A heart that beat inside a machine. A power they couldn't measure. And a human ship that vanished like a ghost. While the galaxy waited in silence, Captain Elena Drake prepared for what she knew was coming next. Aura, she said finally, her voice low but firm. Ready all systems. They'll be back. And deep inside the ship's core, the Valkyrie pulsed once. Bright, red, and alive. Like the slow heartbeat of something far greater than human. Across the dark stretch of space, the alien fleet hung in silence. What had once been an organized armada now drifted in uneasy confusion. The scans they had performed on the human warship had caused system failures across multiple ships. Even now, several vessels were dark, their lights flickering, their crews struggling to restore control. Admiral Serthak stood on the bridge of his flagship, his scaled hands gripping the edge of the command console. Report, he barked. His voice, usually steady and full of command, carried an edge of something new, fear. "We've restored 70% of our systems," replied the technician, his eyes wide. "But the data from the scan. Admiral, it's impossible." "Show me," Serthak demanded. The holographic display came alive, filled with swirling streams of alien script. "These are the readings we got from the human vessel," said the science officer. "At first, we thought it was a standard fusion core, but this," he hesitated, pointing at the strange readings. "These numbers shouldn't exist. The ship's energy signature matches the radiation output of a contained star." The Admiral blinked, his scales tightening. "A star? You're saying that small vessel carries a sun inside it?" "Not exactly, sir," the scientist replied. "It's not just energy. There's structure in the signal, organic patterns. Like a living thing." Murmurs spread across the bridge. The idea of a machine that was alive unsettled them all. "Are you saying humans have created a living ship?" the Admiral asked. "No species has that kind of technology." "We don't know," the scientist whispered. "But the energy waves from the ship resonate like heartbeats. Slow, rhythmic, powerful." The room went quiet. The only sound was the soft hum of the bridge engines. Serthak stared at the readings again. "Heartbeats," he repeated softly. "Machines don't have hearts." The science officer swallowed. "Then maybe it's not a machine." Before the Admiral could respond, alarms blared across the bridge. "Admiral!" shouted the tactical officer. "We've lost visual contact with the human vessel." Serthak turned sharply. "Explain." "It just vanished from all scanners. 1 second it was there, then nothing. No energy trace, no engine trail, no warp signal." Serthak felt a chill crawl through his spine. "That's impossible. No ship can disappear like that." "I know, sir," the officer stammered. "But it's gone." The crew's panic grew louder. Officers whispered, some shouting at their stations, unable to believe what they were seeing. "Maybe it cloaked itself," someone yelled. "Maybe it warped away." But the Admiral shook his head. His instincts told him otherwise. This wasn't simple stealth or technology. It was something beyond their understanding. "Silence," he ordered. His voice cut through the noise, and the crew fell quiet. "Keep scanning. Widen the range." Minutes passed. Nothing appeared on the sensors. Then suddenly, the communications officer froze. "Admiral, we're picking up something. A faint signal behind us." "Behind us?" Serthak turned toward the display. The fleet was facing forward. If the human ship was behind them now, it meant it had moved silently through their entire formation without being detected. "Show me." The holographic view shifted. Behind the last line of alien destroyers, a small shimmer of light appeared. It was faint, barely visible, but it pulsed once, like a heartbeat. The Admiral's blood ran cold. "Magnify." The shimmer grew larger until the shape became clear. The Valkyrie. It was there, completely silent, hovering just behind the alien ships, watching them. For a moment, no one spoke. The image of the human warship glowed on the screen, its hull dark and smooth, its weapons cold. Yet, every officer on the bridge could feel it. The weight of its presence, the quiet threat that hung in the air. How did it get there?" whispered one of the officers. "We would have detected an energy surge if it moved." "It didn't move," Serthak said quietly. "It was already there." The alien fleet began to shift positions, ships turning their weapons toward the human vessel. "Admiral, shall we open fire?" asked the tactical officer, his voice trembling. The Admiral didn't answer right away. His eyes stayed locked on the Valkyrie's dark form. "No," he said finally. "Not yet. It's not attacking. It's watching us." Then the ship's AI spoke again, its deep voice echoing through the bridge. "Warning. Unknown signal approaching. Energy spike detected." The Admiral turned sharply. Where? The holographic screen flickered again. Energy readings surged from the human ship, but they didn't look like weapons charging. The pattern was too smooth, too deliberate. They're scanning us, the scientist said in disbelief. They're scanning the entire fleet. A cold silence filled the room. The aliens watched as the data readings spiked higher and higher. The human warship was scanning them, every ship, every crew member, every heartbeat. Their own sensors couldn't even detect the scanning beam, yet somehow, their systems felt it. "Admiral!" shouted the technician. "They're inside our network. They're reading our systems." The holographic displays went wild. Images of alien ships appeared, schematics, crew rosters, weapon statistics, every secret laid bare. "It knows everything about us," whispered one of the officers. "Every ship, every system." Then, as suddenly as it began, the scan ended. The Valkyrie's image on the screen flickered and disappeared once more. "Gone again," the communications officer said, his voice shaking. "No trace." Admiral Serthak stood motionless. His heart pounded against his ribs. He looked around at his frightened crew and saw panic in every face. "They wanted to see what we are," he said quietly. "And now they know." "Admiral," asked the young ensign, "what do we do?" Serthak turned toward the stars, his expression grim. "We do nothing," he said softly. "Because whatever that thing is, it's not human. Not anymore." And as the fleet drifted in silent fear, every ship in the armada powered down its scanners. None dared to look again into the darkness where the Valkyrie had been. They all knew one truth now: the humans had built something no one should ever have built. And it was out there, watching. The silence in the alien fleet's command bridge was thick with fear. Every officer could feel it, the invisible presence of the human ship somewhere out there in the dark. Admiral Serthak stood at the center of the room, his scales glimmering under the dim blue lights, his eyes locked on the static-filled screen where the human warship had last been seen. "Have we regained contact?" he asked quietly. The technician shook his head. "No, Admiral. No trace, no signature, no energy trail. It's as if the ship dissolved into space itself." Serthak turned away, his jaw tight. "No vessel can just vanish. There must be a trick, some kind of cloaking technology." "Sir," said the science officer softly, "if that's cloaking, then it's beyond anything the Council has ever imagined. It's not bending light. It's bending reality." The Admiral didn't answer. Deep down, he knew something was wrong, terribly wrong. They had faced hundreds of enemy fleets before, conquered worlds, burned civilizations. But this human warship, it was something else entirely. He felt like prey being watched by a predator he couldn't see. Meanwhile, far away, hidden in the shadow of a shattered moon, the UNS Valkyrie floated silently, its hull absorbing all light. Inside, Captain Elena Drake stood before the central display. Her calm face was illuminated by soft blue light as she watched the alien fleet's chaotic movements. "They're panicking," said Lieutenant Cross. "Their ships keep shifting formations. They're blind out there." Drake nodded. "Good. Keep them guessing." The ship's AI, Aura, spoke in its calm, almost human tone. "Captain, the alien sensors have been neutralized. They cannot detect us. Would you like to initiate counterscan?" Drake's eyes glimmered. "Yes. Let's see who they really are." The bridge lights dimmed as Aura's systems came alive. Invisible waves of quantum energy rippled outward from the Valkyrie, stretching across the void, sweeping through every alien ship. In seconds, the human warship had mapped the entire fleet. Every vessel, every engine system, even the heartbeats of the crew. On the main screen, holographic images appeared, dozens of alien ships rotating in perfect 3D, their weak spots glowing red. The crew watched in silence. "We're inside their systems," Aura reported. "Their security is primitive. I can access their communication lines, fleet data, even personal transmissions." Drake folded her arms. "Send a copy of everything to secure storage." then open their communication channel. "Captain," said Cross, "you're going to talk to them?" "No," she replied softly. "We'll just let them hear us." The AI activated a transmission. Across the alien fleet, the comms of every ship flickered on. A single human voice echoed through the static, calm and clear. "We warned you not to scan us." The alien crews froze. Panic swept through the fleet. Officers shouted, systems sparked, and captains demanded orders. Admiral Serthak's voice roared across the bridge. "Trace that signal. Find its origin." "We can't, sir," yelled the technician. "It's everywhere. It's coming from inside our ships." The admiral's heart pounded. "Inside?" "Yes. It's bouncing through our own communication arrays." The holographic screen suddenly flashed again. A symbol appeared, a white emblem of a winged human figure holding a sword, surrounded by a halo of light. Below it, text appeared in alien language. "Project Spectre, authorized human command." Serthak stared at it. "What is that?" The science officer whispered. "A name, sir. It's the code signature of their ship." The admiral's eyes widened. "Project Spectre," he repeated. "What does it mean?" Back aboard the Valkyrie, Drake stood tall. "Aura, activate Project Spectre fully. Let's remind them who they're dealing with." "Confirmed," the AI replied. The entire ship trembled as deep within its core, the quantum singularity reactor awakened. The pulse of light inside it grew stronger, faster, until the energy readings reached levels no ordinary machine could survive. Outside, the ship's surface began to shimmer like liquid light, warping the space around it. To the alien fleet, it suddenly appeared again, but this time, distorted, ghostly, and enormous. It was no longer a single ship. It looked like a dozen, each image shifting and fading, impossible to lock onto. "Admiral!" cried one officer. "There are multiple human ships now." "No," Serthak whispered. "That's one ship, and it's playing with us." "Sir, they're scanning again," shouted the technician. "And now they know our targeting systems, our defense grids, everything." Serthak slammed his fist on the console. "Prepare weapons. Fire at will." Dozens of alien ships launched plasma bursts and beam weapons into the void. The blasts hit nothing. The Valkyrie's illusion flickered and split apart like mist. Their weapons had passed straight through the projections. "No impact," screamed the tactical officer. "We're not hitting anything." Then, out of the chaos, the human ship's voice echoed again, louder this time, filled with quiet fury. "You wanted to see what we are. You shouldn't have looked." Inside the Valkyrie, Captain Drake watched the alien fleet's scattered formation. "Aura," she said, "prepare to strike their flagship." The AI's tone was calm but almost reverent. "Target locked. Power surge ready. Do you wish to fire?" Drake looked at the image of the alien flagship, the same one that had scanned them first. "Yes," she said softly. "End this." Outside, the stars themselves seemed to bend as the Valkyrie's reactor reached full capacity. No light, no noise, just a single pulse of invisible energy that rippled outward like a breath. In an instant, the alien flagship vanished. No explosion. No debris. Nothing remained but empty space. Silence filled the void once more. The alien fleet froze. No one spoke, no one moved. Admiral Serthak's voice broke through the comms, trembling. "All ships, cease fire. Hold position." But it was too late. Every alien heart on every ship now knew one truth. The humans had unleashed something that should never have existed. "On the Valkyrie's bridge," Captain Drake whispered, "they wanted to understand humanity. Now they will remember us forever." And in the endless dark of space, the human warship faded once again, leaving only the ghosts of its power behind. The alien fleet floated in stunned silence. Where once a massive flagship had stood, now there was only emptiness. No wreckage, no explosion, not even drifting particles of metal. It was as if the ship had been erased from existence. The surviving vessels stayed frozen in formation, their crews too terrified to move. On the command bridge of a nearby cruiser, officers whispered in disbelief. "It's gone," one said quietly. "Just gone." Admiral Serthak stared at the void where his flagship had been. His throat was dry, his scales trembling under the dim lights. "No," he murmured. "No weapon can do that." His second-in-command replied shakily, "Admiral, sensors show no heat, no radiation. The human ship's pulse, it didn't destroy the flagship, it displaced it." Serthak turned to face him. "Displaced?" The officer nodded. "It's as if the ship was pulled out of this dimension, vanished between one heartbeat and the next." The admiral's voice was low and cold. "Then they command forces beyond our science, beyond our gods." Across the void, hidden among the stars, the UNS Valkyrie floated in stillness. Its hull was calm again, the shimmering distortions fading away. Inside, Captain Elena Drake stood at the center of the command deck, her gaze locked on the tactical display. The outline of the alien fleet flickered across the screen, now missing one of its largest ships. The bridge was silent except for the low hum of the ship's heart, the quantum reactor, pulsing steadily like a heartbeat. Lieutenant Cross exhaled slowly. "Target neutralized, Captain. No return fire. They've stopped moving." Drake nodded without emotion. "They finally understand." "Captain," said Dr. Mason, stepping closer, "that pulse wasn't a weapon. It didn't destroy their ship, it erased it from spacetime. The flagship's energy signature is simply gone. It's like it never existed." Drake turned to him, her expression unreadable. "Good. Fear works better than annihilation." The ship's AI, Aura, spoke in its calm, human-like voice. "Their fleet remains stationary, Captain. Some are trying to re-establish communications. Others have gone completely dark." Drake walked slowly across the bridge, her boots echoing softly. "Patch me into their comms," she said. "They wanted to talk to us, didn't they? Let's give them something to remember." The AI's systems flickered. Across the alien armada, every ship's comms came alive at once. A single transmission cut through the static, a woman's voice, cold and steady. "This is Captain Elena Drake of the United Nations ship Valkyrie. You attacked us with your curiosity. You scanned what you did not understand. This is your only warning. Stand down and never repeat this act." Her words echoed across the alien fleet, translated automatically into their language. On the alien bridges, crew members froze, staring at the voice that filled their ships. It wasn't angry. It wasn't loud. It was calm, too calm. And that made it even more terrifying. "Captain," Aura reported, "they are broadcasting distress signals to their home worlds. Many ships are turning away." Drake's expression softened, though her tone remained hard. "Good. Let them run. Let the story spread." Dr. Mason frowned. "You think this will be enough to stop them?" "No," Drake said, turning toward the observation window. "But it will make them think before they ever point a scanner toward Earth again." Outside, the stars shimmered faintly. The vast emptiness felt alive, as if the universe itself was holding its breath. "Captain," Aura continued, "the alien fleet has begun retreat maneuvers. Should we pursue?" Drake shook her head. "No pursuit. The Valkyrie isn't here to conquer. We're here to remind the galaxy that humanity is not prey." The crew watched as the alien fleet slowly began to turn, their engines glowing weakly. Ships that had once approached boldly now crawled away like frightened animals. Aura dimmed the tactical display and spoke softly. "Mission success. Would you like to log this as a formal engagement?" Drake's voice was distant. "No. There was no battle. Only a lesson." Dr. Mason stepped forward, his brow furrowed. "Captain, I must ask, the reactor, how much energy did that pulse require?" Aura responded before Drake could. 0.006% of full capacity. Mason blinked. That little. Then how much power can it actually? Drake raised a hand. You don't want to know, Doctor. She turned back toward the viewport. The distant lights of the alien ships were fading, scattering into the black. They think they've seen our full strength, she said quietly. But all they've seen is a glimpse. Her crew looked at her in awe. There was something about the way she stood, calm, steady, as if she carried the weight of humanity itself. Aura, she said, send a message to Earth Command. Tell them the observation phase is complete. The enemy has withdrawn. Message sent, replied the AI. Would you like to resume stealth operations? Drake gave a faint nod. Yes. Make us a ghost again. The Valkyrie's systems began to hum, its hull rippling as the stealth fields activated. One by one, its lights faded until the warship disappeared entirely, blending into the cosmic black. To any observer, it was as though the ship had never existed. The crew stood silently at their stations. Some were still shaking, still processing what they had just witnessed. Lieutenant Cross whispered, Captain, do you think they'll come back? Drake's answer came after a long pause. They will. Fear fades with time. And when it does, they'll try again. That's what every species does when faced with something stronger, they forget. But when they do, she looked toward the stars, her expression hardening. We'll be waiting. Far away, in the retreating alien fleet, Admiral Serthak sat in silence. Around him, his officers whispered about what they had seen. Some called the human ship a ghost. Others said it was alive, powered by something beyond science. Serthak said nothing. He only stared at the empty space where his flagship had once been and whispered to himself, They warned us once. We should have listened. And somewhere, unseen in the dark, the Valkyrie drifted on, silent, patient, eternal. It didn't chase its enemies. It didn't need to. Because every species that ever tried to look into the heart of humanity eventually learned the same terrible truth. Some knowledge should never be sought. The galaxy trembled with whispers. Across hundreds of worlds, stories spread of a human warship that erased an entire alien flagship without firing a single visible weapon. Every civilization that had once mocked humanity's small blue planet now spoke the name Valkyrie in fear. Some claimed it was not a ship at all, but a living weapon. Others said it was an ancient god's creation, reborn under human hands. Yet the truth was far more dangerous. It was real, it was human, and it was watching. On a distant world within the Veldar Empire, Admiral Serthak stood before the High Council. The room was carved from black crystal, its walls pulsing faintly with living energy. The council members, towering beings wrapped in robes of shadow, stared down at him in silence. You return without your fleet, one of them said coldly. You bring no victory, only stories of vanishing ships. Serthak bowed his head, his voice trembling. The humans are not what we believed. Their warship, the Valkyrie, possesses technology beyond comprehension. Our scans triggered something we cannot explain. It did not destroy, it erased. Erased? Repeated another counselor, his voice sharp. You expect us to believe such nonsense? You were outmatched by primitives. Serthak looked up, anger flickering through his fear. Then scan them yourself, counselor. But I warn you, whatever they've harnessed, it reaches beyond our laws of physics. The energy we detected was not mechanical. It was alive. A murmur spread through the chamber. The council exchanged uneasy glances. Finally, the eldest among them, the High Seer of Veldar, leaned forward. We have heard other whispers, she said softly. The Krell Dominion lost 3 scouts in the same sector. The Tharn Collective refuses to send ships near human territory. Something is happening there. She looked down at Serthak, her eyes glowing with pale light. Tell us what you saw, Admiral. Every detail. Serthak hesitated, then spoke in a low voice. When we scanned the human warship, it was as if our sensors touched a storm. It looked normal at first. Metal, armor, engines. But then, it changed. The readings became impossible, shifting between matter and energy, as though the ship existed in more than one place at once. And then the pulse came. No explosion. No light. Just silence. Our flagship ceased to exist. The council chamber fell into stunned silence. The High Seer finally spoke. Then humanity has unlocked something forbidden. We must know how. With respect, Seer, Serthak said quickly, I advise against further action. If they can erase a ship with a single pulse, what might they do to an entire fleet? The Seer smiled faintly. Fear blinds you, Admiral. We do not cower from discovery. She turned to the others. Send covert probes to the Sol system. We will learn what the humans have built. And if necessary, we will take it from them. Back aboard the UNS Valkyrie, Captain Elena Drake stood in the observation dome, watching Earth from orbit. The planet glowed beneath her like a jewel in the dark. Lieutenant Cross approached quietly. Command has received intercepted transmissions from Veldar space. They're sending probes. Drake's expression didn't change. Let them. Aura. The ship's AI responded instantly. Already monitoring their trajectories, Captain. Estimated arrival in Sol space, 17 days. Prepare the shadows, Drake said calmly. If they want to see us again, we'll make sure they see only what we choose. Dr. Mason entered the dome, holding a datapad full of energy readings. Captain, the quantum reactor has been evolving. The energy matrix is reorganizing itself. It's almost as if it's learning. Drake turned to face him. Learning? Yes, he said, frowning. Its reaction patterns are changing based on external threats. The ship adapts, improving itself without human input. Cross gave a nervous laugh. You're saying the ship's alive? Mason hesitated. In a way, yes. It reacts like a living organism. It remembers what happens to it and changes to survive. Drake stared at the holographic projection of the Valkyrie's core. The swirling blue energy pulsed rhythmically, almost like a heartbeat. Then humanity has created something far more dangerous than a weapon, she murmured. We've created a guardian. Aura's voice interrupted softly. Incoming transmission from Earth Command, Captain. Patch it through, Drake ordered. The hologram shifted, revealing Admiral Hayes, head of Earth Defense Command. His face was lined with exhaustion. Captain Drake, he said, we've confirmed the alien transmission. They're coming again. The Council refuses to stand down. This time, it won't be a scan, it'll be an invasion. Drake's eyes hardened. Then they've chosen their fate. Hayes nodded grimly. You are authorized to engage at your discretion. The defense of humanity is in your hands. The transmission ended. Silence filled the dome once more. Cross looked at Drake. What now, Captain? Drake turned toward the viewport, her eyes reflecting the glow of Earth below. Now we prepare, she said. Because this time, when they come, they won't find a mystery. They'll find humanity waiting. She placed a hand on the glass, her reflection merging with the planet's light. Activate the shadow network, she commanded. Every hidden satellite, every drone. No one enters this system without our knowledge. Aura's tone deepened. Shadow network online. Defensive grid expanding. Outside, thousands of tiny glimmers appeared across the void, silent sentinels awakening from their long sleep. The Valkyrie's systems hummed, and the stars seemed to grow dimmer around it. Dr. Mason watched in awe. We've become the thing they fear most, he whispered. Drake's answer was quiet but firm. Good. Fear keeps them alive. But if they force our hand... She paused, her gaze cold as steel. Then we'll show them what it means when humanity stops being merciful. In the far reaches of space, the Veldar probes slipped through the darkness, unaware that the very shadows were watching them. And as the galaxy prepared for what was to come, One truth echoed through every whisper, every story, every frightened memory. Humanity's silence was never weakness. It was the calm before the storm. The darkness of space was quiet, but it was not still. Hidden deep within the shadows of Earth's orbit, the UNS Valkyrie waited like a silent predator. Its hull shimmered faintly, blending into the void, invisible to even the most advanced sensors. Every system was alive, pulsing with quiet energy as Captain Elena Drake stood on the command deck, watching the stars. She knew they were coming. The alien fleet had already crossed the outer defense line 2 days ago. They were cautious this time, scanning less, spreading out more, but still coming closer. They thought humanity would hide again. They were wrong. "Status?" she asked calmly. Lieutenant Cross replied, "Shadow network fully operational. All satellites reporting in. The enemy fleet will enter the perimeter in 42 minutes. Dr. Mason looked up from his console. "Captain, the quantum reactor has stabilized at 83%. It's ready." Drake nodded slightly. "Good. Aura, begin Phase 1. Let them see what we want them to see." The ship's AI replied in its smooth, controlled voice. Phase 1 initiated. Across the emptiness, the alien fleet picked up faint energy readings. Small, harmless, like decoys. Their sensors began to detect hundreds of human ships, frigates, cruisers, carriers, all arrayed around Earth. But in reality, none of them existed. The Valkyrie was projecting ghost signatures using the shadow network. It was the ultimate illusion, a phantom armada. On board the alien flagship, Admiral Serthak watched the false readings appear. His crew was restless, their voices hushed and nervous. Multiple human vessels detected, Admiral. There, surrounding the planet. Serthak narrowed his eyes. "It's a trap," he muttered. "They want us to think their fleet is vast. But it's the same ship. The Valkyrie. I can feel it." "Orders, Admiral?" asked his second. Serthak's tail flicked once against the metal floor. "Proceed with caution. Deploy half the fleet forward. Keep the rest back. We'll probe their defenses first." Back on the Valkyrie, Aura reported, "The enemy is dividing formation. Predicting a multi-vector advance in 21 minutes. Drake folded her arms. "Good. The more they spread, the weaker they become." Dr. Mason adjusted his display nervously. "Captain, I've been analyzing the quantum core's new behavior. It's showing signs of synchronization with the shadow network." "Explain," Drake said. "The reactor isn't just powering the network anymore," Mason continued. "It's communicating with it, like it's aware of every probe, every satellite. It's building something bigger than itself." Drake's gaze hardened. "Let it. As long as it protects Earth, I don't care what it becomes." The minutes ticked down. The alien fleet began to close in. The void around Earth shimmered faintly as the false ships flickered like ghosts, each one appearing armed and ready. "Enemy has entered the perimeter," Cross announced. "They're scanning again." Drake's voice was steady. "Aura, mask our energy signature. Make them think the Valkyrie is part of the illusion." "Understood." The bridge grew dim as the ship cloaked itself completely. Even the crew's heartbeats seemed to quiet. Through the massive viewport, the stars shifted slightly as the alien ships drew nearer. Massive, dark, and bristling with weapons. "They're targeting the ghost ships," Cross whispered. "Firing, now." Outside, bursts of plasma fire and energy beams tore through the dark, striking holograms that vanished like mist. The aliens grew more confident. "Their shields are weak," one of them shouted aboard the flagship. "We're winning." But as the false warships flickered out one by one, something strange happened. The stars behind them began to twist. A ripple spread across the void, a distortion so faint it could have been mistaken for light. But it grew larger, wider. The distortion turned into a pulse, and then into a massive wave of energy that rolled silently through space. "Admiral!" a voice cried on the alien ship. Something's coming from behind the human planet. Serthak turned sharply. His display showed a shape forming from the distortion. Long dark, glowing faintly with blue light. It's the Valkyrie, he whispered. The human warship emerged from nothingness, its hull illuminated by the dying light of alien plasma fire. For a moment, it hung there, perfectly still. Then the lights along its frame began to burn brighter, lines of pure energy running like veins beneath its armor. Aura's voice echoed through the Valkyrie's bridge. Phase 2 ready, Captain. Execute, Drake said. The Valkyrie unleashed a pulse, not an attack, not destruction, but control. Every alien ship's systems flickered. Engines failed. Weapons went dark. Their lights dimmed one by one, leaving them drifting helplessly. On the alien bridge, chaos erupted. We've lost power. Communications down. Navigation offline. Serthak stared at the failing systems, his voice barely a whisper. They've taken control of the void itself. Back on the Valkyrie, Cross exhaled shakily. They're defenseless. Every ship frozen. Drake looked calm, but her eyes burned with intensity. Then let them listen. Transmission open, Aura said. Drake stepped forward, her voice steady and cold. This is Captain Elena Drake of the United Nations ship Valkyrie. You came to invade. You came to steal. Now look at your fleet. Look at what your arrogance has brought you. Her words echoed through every alien ship, translated in perfect tone. We warned you once, she continued. You didn't listen. So here is your lesson. Earth is not prey. Humanity is not weak. We don't start wars, but we end them. On the alien bridge, Serthak fell to his knees. His eyes were wide with terror, but beneath it, there was understanding. We were fools, he whispered. They control power beyond reason. Drake gave one final order. Aura, release them. Let them live with what they've seen. The Valkyrie's energy pulse receded. Systems across the alien fleet flickered back to life. Engines restarted. Weapons rearmed. But none of them dared to fire. Slowly, silently, the alien armada began to turn away, retreating into the dark void. On the Valkyrie, the crew watched in silence. They're leaving, Cross said quietly. All of them. Drake nodded, her voice calm. Good. Fear will travel faster than any weapon. Dr. Mason looked at her. Captain, what if they come back with more? Drake's expression softened, but her tone stayed firm. Then they'll find we've grown stronger too. Humanity always does. Outside, the stars returned to their peaceful glow. The alien fleet vanished into the distance, and for the first time in centuries, Earth's skies were truly safe. But the Valkyrie remained hidden in orbit, its captain watching the stars. The ship pulsed softly with light, like something alive, something ancient and new at once. Aura spoke quietly. They won't forget you, Captain. Drake smiled faintly. Good, she said. Neither will the stars. And as the ship disappeared once more into the silence, the legend of the Valkyrie began to spread across the galaxy, a tale not of conquest, but of warning. Humanity had spoken once again, and the universe would never forget its voice.